Okay, so thank you all for being here. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Kevin. We really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for being here. Now, I'd like to introduce our historian and our MC. And I can't tell you, ladies and gentlemen, having lived here all my life and having my brothers have played football, and they played for Bob Lynch and Joe Sikorsky. And so I've been around New Canaan High School for a long time. So this gentleman cares deeply about New Canaan High School, about our traditions, about the history of New Canaan High School, and we're so lucky to have him. And now that his son, is he a senior in high school? How did that happen? I don't know either. But we're lucky to have him, and he's going to run the ceremony from now on. And just thank you for all you do for us, Mr. Terry Diamond.
Great, thank you so much, Bill. Once again, the greatest intro I've ever gotten in all my years of doing this. Right, Len? What an honor it is for me to be here with you all today. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for supporting all these amazing people that we're honoring today and supporting the New Canaan Old Timers and the Vinny Iovino Scholarship. Athletically speaking, it's been a great year in many ways since we last met. You know, the world's slowly turning back to normal. The kids at the high school were able to have a full season, and that is great after what preceded it. At the same time, as Mr. Moynihan and Bill mentioned, it has not been an easy year as we've lost two legendary sports figures, two legendary people, and that's Coach Don Usher and Steve Benko. Coach Usher, he was a fixture here at our event, and we were so fortunate to have him for as long as we did. I look out here now and I see a lot of his former players, and as they can attest better than I could, there was probably never a better motivator, never a better person who was really famous for getting the most out of everybody lucky enough to play for him. He instilled them with confidence. He led them to places that they could never have imagined on their own. And most of all, he was a teacher. You know, he was a teacher in the classroom. He was a teacher on the court. He was a teacher in life. And he will be very sorely missed. And of course, Steve Benko. I mean, there was no one in New Canaan more respected, more recognizable than Steve, and it's hard to imagine this ceremony and the old timers in general without him. Not having him with us today is a void. It's a void that cannot be replaced. But even so, as you look around, and especially here at Waveny, which was Steve's home away from home, you can feel his presence. You can feel his influence. In many ways, he is with us. It's wonderful that the pool, the beautiful pool around the corner, of which he was so proud, will carry his name for as long as it's here. And as long as there is a New Canaan Old Timers Association, he will be with us. And we're so happy to have his siblings with us today, Dave and Elaine, and of course, his wife, Sue. So can you all please stand and be recognized? Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. So with all of that said, and as Bill touched on, you know, we do raise money for the Vinny Iovino Scholarship, which every year we present it to student athletes at New Canaan High School. And the format for the Senior Sports Awards has changed a bit. So we had to kind of pivot a little bit accordingly, and we wanted to make our donation this year keeping in line with what we are all about, with what Vinny was all about, and still is all about. I just had the pleasure of talking to him the other night, and he's just doing great. And what Steve Benko was all about, Coach Usher. So we looked around at a lot of different places, and what we ultimately landed on was the New Canaan Athletic Foundation. Now, the NCAF, they work in partnership with the town. They support the infrastructure of our outdoor athletic facilities, and they ensure that our kids have the best possible fields to play on, and they understand the deep ties between sports and the community at large. So that really resonated with all of us. So I'd like to recognize my good friend and chairman of the NCAF, Mike Benevento, who's going to receive our donation this year. Mike, where are you? Mike, stand up. Give Mike a hand. NCAF, thank you so much. We're very, very proud to partner with you. Thank you. So I mentioned I was talking with Vinny the other night, and he spoke so eloquently of why the old timers are a vital part of this town. New Canaan is a very special community. It's a community that has such a rich athletic history. I mean, look around today at all the legends who are here. As I just mentioned, that history has always been interwoven into the fabric of the community itself. And now, without these touchstones, without these ties to the past, we cannot move forward. New Canaan will lose its identity. It will cease to be the special place that it always has been. And that cannot happen. So I urge anyone who might want to be part of this very special organization, come forward. Just talk to Lenny, to Bill, to myself, anytime. Come forward, join us. It's a great organization. It keeps the spirit of the past alive while supporting its future, our students. Let's keep that spirit of Coach Usher, Steve Banco, and all the heroes of the past alive. Let's keep it going. Thank you. Okay, and now on to the honorees. Born and raised in Massachusetts, Mary Beth McEnany Gilbert graduated from Boston University in 1963 and began her career at New Canaan High School as a phys ed teacher the following fall. She took over the field hockey program that year and made an immediate impact, guiding the team to a 9-1 record, one of its most successful seasons to date. And it was one in which the Rams outscored their opponents 46-9. She was soon named head coach of the girls' basketball team, and in her first year at the helm, the Rams had their best season in program history, going 10-0. In addition to field hockey and basketball, she also started the New Canaan girls' track program, and throughout her tenure, every one of her teams produced a winning record. Known as Miss Mac back in those years, Mary Beth was a trusted mentor for her athletes and students, many of whom would return to New Canaan High School after graduation to talk not only about sports, but more importantly, about life. And she was the first to admit that perhaps she was not the best game strategist or game manager, but her strength was something that was much more important. She had what was described as an incomparable empathy and understanding for her players. She was a motivator through positivity, and her confidence and personal interest and dedication to her athletes went a long way. Quite simply, Mary Beth Gilbert was much more than a coach. After getting married and receiving her master's degree from Fairfield U in 1975, she switched to the guidance department and was a beloved counselor for 2 decades until she became ill and ultimately lost her long battle with cancer. She was just 53 years old and had been at New Canaan High School for 32 of those years. One student from her final class that she advised said that Mrs. Gilbert was just the kind of person everyone needed. She was a reassuring, soothing voice saying everything's going to be okay. And if you look back in her yearbook, the first yearbook that she was at New Canaan High School, her quote as a teacher was, "Oh, for goodness sake, smile." And a smile is exactly what Mary Beth Gilbert brought and elicited with every interaction she ever had. It's my honor to introduce Elaine Banco Sullivan, who will be accepting for this year's Loren J. Keyes Memorial Honoree, Mary Beth Gilbert.
Pretty much said everything.
Of course. Just be close to them. We got to put it real close to the mic.
Congratulations to all the people here who will be inducted today, and just want to. Len called me a couple weeks ago and kind of picked my brain trying to find out information about Mary Beth, and said, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if we don't find someone to come up, family member, I'm putting you on the spot. Will you come up and say a few words? So I'm talking off the top of my head and from my heart, but actually I think Terry summarized pretty much everything that I was thinking I was going to say about Mary Beth. I got to know her my freshman year playing basketball. And my senior year, she had switched from physical education coaching into the guidance counselor, and I was lucky enough to have her be a big influence and help for me for my college applications. And Terry said about her smile, that's one thing I was going to say. She always was bopping around the hallways, always had a smile. Sometimes had these little quirks. She would make little comments, and you'd walk away and just, you could be down on something, and you'd walk away from her with a smile. I always, as an athlete, not just going to the locker room, being one, playing for her, or getting to know her, I used to look forward every day going down to the athletic department or her office just to say hi and see how the day was going, because she was that type of person that just motivated anybody she came in touch with. She and her husband actually came to our wedding here back in '85, and I think that says the type of person she was. She was more than a coach, more than a teacher. She became a real friend, and she was genuine. She stood behind everybody, and you know, I can't say enough. She was just a great, great person. One reflection, I guess Len said, think of a story. When I played at Springfield College, I played a couple sports there. My senior year, I went back. I switched my major to health fitness, and I went back, played field hockey, and went to preseason, and my coaches at that time were involved with the U.S. women's field hockey, and they're really top-notch. Went back, I was in the best shape ever, and you know, I thought, God, I feel really good. I really came back, I'm top of the game. My coach called me in and said, you know, we're starting to get some incoming freshmen, so I want to be honest, I don't know if you'll get playing time, but you're a great, you know, incentive to the team, so if you decide you don't want to risk sitting on the bench the rest of the season, your senior year, you can be manager. And I was devastated. I remember going back, calling home, you know, calling my brother Steve, Dave, I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm just like, ugh. And my mom at that time said, you know, give Mary Beth a call. So I called Mary Beth. I think I called Sue Shortle too, but I called Mary Beth and explained everything. And she just, you know, made me feel like, brought me back up on top and said, you know, you just got to keep smiling and keep believing. So I made the decision to stick it out. Our first game was against Harvard. One of my roommates was captain, playing out there. Partway during the first half, my coach looked and said, come here, I want you to go out and just shadow that one player. I don't care if she goes right, left, up, back. You just stay with her and don't let her get near the ball. So I did. Long story short, I never sat out a game the rest of the season, got a couple awards, and I look back, and that was because I think largely due to Mary Beth. She gave me that belief in myself to really follow your heart. Don't give up. And I could picture her smile over the phone. So bottom line, if she was here today, I know she'd be thrilled. It's an honor, and I just wish everybody had a chance to have met her.
That was so great. Oh, that was wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, I'll give you this. When you first get back to your table, I'll get it.
Thank you, Holly. So when you start talking about New Canaan sports and the associated last names that inevitably come up, families, there are several that stand out. Paglialonga, Pennington, Sikorsky, Tomaselli, Overbeck, Kelly, I could go on, Banco, on and on and on and on, and many of them are here today. With that being said, I don't think there is a last name that conjures up as much warmth, as much respect, or as many smiles as Murphy. Tom Murphy is the son of a New Canaan legend, the Silver Fox, the late great basketball coach, soccer coach, and phys ed teacher, Bill Murphy. And there might not be a single person in the history of New Canaan High School who is as beloved as Coach Murph. And when you consider the attributes that made Coach Murphy the great man that he was, and you look at his son, Tom, you'd have to say he lived up to him and more. Now, Tom grew up in a wonderful neighborhood in New Canaan on Salick Place. It's a perfect playground and a fertile breeding ground for athletes. Little cul-de-sac, houses close together, and Tom spent his childhood playing every sport you can play in outside on the road alongside the likes of Mario Lopez, Dave Musanti, John Fales, Billy Fulford, and of course, Bill Brown. After participating in all youth sports New Canaan had to offer, Tom was a pitcher and a third baseman on New Canaan's first District 1 Babe Ruth Championship team in 1979, before moving on to an outstanding athletic career at New Canaan High School. Murph was a solid contributor and starter in soccer, basketball, and baseball for the Rams. Now, Murph seldom got the headlines. That was something he preferred to leave up to guys like Monroe Trout, Stan Jaworski, Paul Devlin, Jimmy DeCosta. But Murph, being who he was, being the son of the man who he was, he understood what it meant to be on a team and how every team needs a player like Murph. He was the ultimate teammate, immensely popular, always positive, someone who helped raise the game of those around him. If he was playing scout, if he was starting, it didn't matter. He was like a coach on the field or on the court. He was a coach's dream. And Murph was a winner. He set the tone for his dad's 1980 soccer team by scoring the first goal of the season. He was someone who Coach Usher would turn to if he needed to control a basketball game and protect a lead. Coach Usher's own words, quote, "Tom is exactly the kind of guy you want in there the last 2 minutes of a tight game. When it comes to taking a shot, he is absolutely nerveless." Now, as a pitcher, he was not overpowering, but instead he let his team play behind them, keeping batters off balance with his knuckleball and his curve. He did not lose a game as a starting pitcher in his junior year for the Rams, and was a big reason Keith McBain returned to coaching in 1981 after a several-year hiatus. For all of this, Murph was the very first recipient of the prestigious Joe Sikorsky Award as the top senior student athlete in 1981. He was truly someone who represented everything that Coach Sikorsky stood for. Now, Vinny Iovino had played against Tom's dad in high school, and he then had the chance to work with him as an athletic director. And he idolized Bill Murphy for the man that he was. And Vinny told me that Murphy's characteristics are exemplified in Tom 10 times over. He said, and I quote, "Tom is someone who, if you pick up the phone and say, 'I need your help,' he just says when and where. He won't ask what it is, he just gets it done for you. And he's the kind of guy, if you're in a foxhole and the enemy's coming over the hill, it's Tom Murphy you want by your side. He will do anything for anyone and is incredibly generous and just an all-around terrific guy. He's a special person to me, and I love him." And more important than being a top athlete, it is that Murph was and is a quality person. He's a role model. You look at student athletes and you say what they should be, and it's Tom Murphy. And this has carried him to where he is today. Where is he today? Well, Tom went on to attend UConn. He earned a BA in communications, and after a 25-year career in sports as SVP of the sales for the New York Mets, this has got to be a tough job. VP sponsorship for MasterCard, director at the NFL, director at Octagon Sports, and a tournament director for the Senior PGA Golf Tour and the Cadillac NFL Golf Classic. Tom is now entering his 13th season as general manager of UConn IMG Sports Marketing, where he leads the corporate partnership and sponsorship program and exclusive multimedia rights management for IMG College. Tom still lives on Salad Place, still lives in New Canaan with his wife Sherry and their 3 children, Quinn, Aiden, and Cameron. He loves New Canaan. He is New Canaan, and I'm so honored to introduce him, Tom Murphy.
Wow, of some introduction, and I don't remember half that shit, let me tell you that. I remember a lot of stuff, trying to get through school, and, I'll touch briefly on Vinny Iovino. First time I met him, and scared to death of him because he's the new AD. I'm outside drinking with my buddies in a car, and he comes up to me and ends up looking inside, and he says, "Oh my God, you got my favorite beer." And I said, "All right, I understand how things are going to work around here with you and my dad for a while." He said, "Yep, I'm not going to tell on you." So he took our beer, and we were down a case for the night, but we kept moving. So that was the first one, the experience. But just want to say thank you to the old timers. It's really special. You guys, you don't know what it means. It's pretty nice to look out and see everybody. And, I talk about, this award in 3 different ways. It's being able to talk about the legends, and you guys touched on a lot of the legends, but that was kind of the first way. I got to experience it by being a South School student, and Scott's kids are over there at South School, and I used to walk across the playground and keep score for my father during the basketball scrimmages, and used to wear a Peel Pennington shirt at night as my mom used to wash the uniform. So it's a little different nowadays with Diane and Diane Murphy and all the other friends that he got a chance to meet during his career. But, I got to meet those guys too. But, whether it's Brian Sikorsky or my cousins, the Benkos, I got to see some really, really special people. And then, I think about the experiences for town, and Tommy touched on it, and one of the things that I saw when Lou came in was a guy who was going to change the program and raise the trajectory of it, and from a community standpoint, really just do some special things. So it's really nice to have met him during the time, and whether it's Coach Lynch or getting to play with Usher or 250, who was one of my baseball coaches, just some special people, so that's pretty good. And then the third way I was looking at it was the friends I've developed. Everybody here who I've met, whether it's Kel or whether it's Dad Keating and his brother, or the Pagalungas or Billy, those are tight friends. So those are people that I can count on my whole life, so that was really nice. And then, the last piece that you touched on was my kids and family. Thank my wife, Sherry, so it's all good. Thank you, guys.
After spending his first 8 years in Houston, Scott Harrison enrolled at Center School in New Canaan, where he was an instantly popular, friendly, and of course, very athletic second grader. That's when I first met Scott, and we became friends. And no one, myself included, had any idea that New Canaan had just received one of its greatest, prolific, and decorated athletes ever. A huge sports fan, even at an early age, Scott was loyal to his Texas upbringing and had a deep knowledge of his Oilers, Rockets, and Astros. The youngest of 3 boys, Scott was a multi-year participant in the Center School all-school kickball game, star in the knockout pit, and a standout touch football player on that beautiful, rocky dirt field. Scott was also on the swimming and diving team at New Canaan Field Club. He played Pop Warner football, and he played for the undefeated and unscored upon Tigers, and then, of course, followed that beautiful natural progression of Bulldogs, Blue Knights, Red Devils, and then on to New Canaan High School. He played youth basketball and baseball, but in his own words, once he picked up a lacrosse stick, that was it for baseball. He never put it down. His skills continued to grow at Saks, and when we all came together from the various elementary schools, Scott stood out as one of the very best athletes in the grade. And we had, and there's a bunch of class of 91 here, we had a very, very athletic class, and more on that later in the program. In high school, Scott played football, basketball, and lacrosse. But then he focused for the remainder of his 3 years, basketball and lacrosse, his 2 favorite sports. Played for 3 years on the varsity basketball team for Don Usher, highlighted by that legendary run to the 1989 state championship game in his sophomore year. And Scott was a leader on and off the court and was deservedly named captain his senior year. And he served as a big brother. He was the big brother that he was never able to be in life to future stars like Jeff Mellick, his Lambert Road neighbor, and Tyler Hardy, who followed in Scott's footsteps in lacrosse. And in lacrosse, he played attack and faced off for head coach Howard Benedict and was on the undefeated 1990 CIAC and FCIAC championship team. He was captain his senior year and awarded All-American honors in 1991, All-State in 90 and 91, All-FCIAC in 90 and 91, and was MVP of the Connecticut State North-South game. He also played in the national North-South game in Baltimore. After graduation, Scott went on to a storied lax career at Duke. He was a member of head coach Mike Pressler's first recruiting class that helped raise the program's prominence in the 90s. Four-year member of the men's lacrosse team playing attack and facing off, Scott was on 3 Blue Devil teams that advanced to the NCAA Division I tournament and served as team captain of the 1995 team that won the ACC title and was ranked in the top 5 nationally. Scott led the Blue Devils in scoring his sophomore, junior, and senior season, finishing his career as the 9th all-time leading scorer in the program's history. In 1994, he was the leading goal scorer in the ACC and was named the team's most outstanding player. In 1995, he earned Offensive Player of the Year and was a 2-time All-American, 2-time All-ACC, and All-ACC tournament team in 1994 and 95. Not just a star on the field, Scott was also voted academic All-American and was on the ACC honor roll throughout his career. Scott went on to play just one season of professional lacrosse in the Major Indoor Lacrosse League for the Charlotte Cobras. Now, Scott told me the pay was great. He made $200 and 2 free Bud Lights after each game. And Scott, I don't know how you walk away from that. I don't know how. Now, the team might have been 0-10, but the highlight for Scott was playing in front of a sold-out crowd at the old Philadelphia Spectrum, where he scored a goal and was promptly laid out by Syracuse legend Paul Gate. After retiring from professional lacrosse, Scott focused on his business career and remained involved in lacrosse in various coaching and volunteering roles. While enrolled at the MBA program at Dartmouth, he served for 2 seasons under Rick Soll as a volunteer assistant men's lacrosse coach, including the 2003 team, which shared the Ivy League title and advanced to the NCAA Division I tournament for the first time in school history, eventually losing again to Syracuse in the Carrier Dome. After graduating from Dartmouth, he served as Director of Business Development at Silgan Plastics in St. Louis, Missouri for 2 years, where he also led the offense as an assistant boys high school coach for Christian Brothers College, team that advanced to the state championship game. While working in Scranton, PA, Scott was an assistant coach under Kevin Dugan for the Division III University of Scranton Scarlet Knights from 2007 to 2010. He returned to New Canaan in 2014, where he currently works in finance and resides with his wife, Raquel, who is an ER physician in Bridgeport Hospital and an amazing athlete and coach in her own right, and his 3 daughters, Hannah, Sarah, and Maddie. And with their genes, I cannot wait to see how their own athletic careers evolve. So stay in New Canaan. In his spare time, he coaches girls lacrosse, basketball, softball. He attends Grace Community Church and is on various nonprofit boards focused on youth ministry initiatives, including Young Life and the FCA. 40 years, Scott, 42, I guess now, right? Seems like yesterday we were playing on that field, throwing a Nerf football, and today you're a New Canaan old-timer. Please join me in honoring Scott Harrison.
Bust out that Nerf football. Keep doing one more.
Thanks, Terry. In 1980, when my dad moved us up from Houston, Texas, I don't think he quite realized what New Canaan would offer our family. And it was a great decision, obviously, but we truly appreciate the Old Timers Club for recognizing individuals, but more importantly, celebrating this community, because it truly is unique, and it's not lost on us. There's a few things I wanted to celebrate as I thought about New Canaan. The first thing is it's babysitters. Sounds kind of funny. The first babysitter in New Canaan was Bill Brown. So we spent more time at Calf Pasture Beach playing putt-putt golf. That's what qualified him to be the boys varsity golf coach here in New Canaan. But then we started getting hurt, and so the second babysitter we had was Diane Murphy. So Diane was our babysitter, and she would tape us up no matter what the illness was. It was great. The third babysitter, my brothers got arrested by Chris Kingsley and crashed a couple cars. I lit a small fire in the house, and so there's only one person that was qualified at that point to be our babysitter. and that was Jack Van Dusen. So, a great guy who I miss. Anyways, second thing I celebrate is the families in New Canaan. I mean, it's amazing. I think about, 10 years before I picked up a lacrosse stick, some parents introduced lacrosse into New Canaan, and I was the beneficiary of that. Now I'm further along, and I get to be a part of those parents giving back to this community. And so generationally, it's pretty awesome. And I now realize the lost productivity among New Canaan parents because they're obsessing about the third grade, girls practice, plan each week. And but it's a blast to be a part of. The next thing to think about is just the relationships and the friends. So I'm slightly biased, maybe as Terry is. Class of '91 was pretty awesome here. Quite a few people, Tom and Scott and others, and surrounding classes as well. They weren't bad either. But really some amazing friendships that were developed. And we competed with each other for the same spots, but we also encouraged and helped each other out and really helped each other achieve dreams and goals. And it was pretty awesome. A great example is Scott Overbeck here today. So we both wanted to go to Duke real bad in high school, and he couldn't get in, so he settled for Carolina. And after 6 or 7 years that you were there? Dr. Overbeck. Okay, so it was 7 years. He was at Carolina, and they brainwashed him, but he's still here today supporting me. Not Lou. He's not supporting Lou. He's here supporting me. So anyways, then there's the coaches, and I was going to list them out, but I got to like almost 100 coaches here in New Canaan that probably influenced me over growing up. And I think from Luciano to Benedict, like it was just incredible the number of people that contributed to me, and so fortunate. They taught us how sports, the discipline of sports, can prepare you for life. How you can achieve more as a team than as an individual. Just incredible, lessons, and so such a huge part. And so thank each one of those coaches. There's one more thing to celebrate, and I had quite a few mentors growing up. Sports obviously comes to an end, and so where your identity is, it's certainly helpful to know that there's more to life than the sports, even though it contributes so much, at least to who I am. I had a great pastor in Cliff Connectley who's still hooping it up at the YMCA, but preaching as well. And he would invite me over to play one-on-one in his driveway. He was a Davidson basketball grad, and he would beat the snot out of me, no mercy, when I was in high school. But he taught me a lot about life, and that was pretty awesome. And certainly that I was not the center of the universe, that somebody else was, and that was helpful as a sports-obsessed high schooler, where you can think that the world does revolve around you, that it really doesn't. There's a young life leader, Ian Cron, but incredible mentors and helped me in life. And I'm really glad I had that lesson, because when I met Raquel, my wife, she's from Southern California, and I was telling her I was a big-time lacrosse player. And I was kind of going on about it, and she looked at me and she said, "What's lacrosse?" So I was glad I had that lesson. So plan B, right? I'm a good guy too. Anyways, lastly, my parents aren't here. Was with them just the other week. My dad turned 90, and we celebrated that. And my mom and him are both doing exceptionally well. But I'll never, my brothers, we definitely won the parent lottery when we were born. They showered us with unconditional love and unconditional discipline as well. But they were phenomenal. I'll never forget in fourth grade, walking into Sachs Middle School for Y-ball, and my dad looked at me, and Harrison's were not too eloquent in our speeches, but his pep talk was, "Scott, make it happen." And those were words that he repeated throughout life, and make it happen. And obviously when your dad has confidence in you and expresses it continually, it means the world. And so we're so thankful for my dad. But, as I thought about it in closing here, that's really what this community is about, is that people believe in each other. They're willing to invest, they're willing to risk, spend the time, and, just so fortunate, as I think about in 1980 that my dad chose New Canaan and not Darien. Go Rams.
That was great.
Speaking firsthand, I can tell you sports reporting can be really tough. It is at times a very cutthroat profession, and you have reporters jockeying for scoops and stories and interviews. You have deadlines to meet. You have agendas to fulfill or not fulfill. The hours can be long, and sometimes you have to deal with parents. Sometimes you have to deal with editors, and it can make you very bitter. The image of the crusty, hardened reporter is actually very accurate. I've been in plenty of press boxes and sidelines to know that. So when you encounter somebody like Dave Stewart, it is such a refreshing breath of fresh air. I'm always happy to see Dave at games, not just because he's one of the most friendliest, most genuine guys you ever want to meet, but Dave made my job easier, even if I was writing for a rival publication, because Dave asked great questions in interviews. We're all kind of crowding around Coach Marinelli or Coach Melz or whoever. He always asks these really good questions that I really didn't even think of, and he gets the great quotes, and in doing so, he helped shape like 90% of the stories that I wrote, and that's why I was always just so glad Dave was at these games. He's an amazing writer. He's someone who mixes an incredible knowledge of all sports with a sense of humor and a style that is unique. And I don't have to see a byline to know that it's a Dave Stewart article. I just have to read, the first couple of lines, the lead, and I know it's Dave behind the keyboard. Dave is everywhere. It's amazing the amount of content he's able to produce in the time that he does it. He bounces from a soccer match to a football game to a field hockey game to a volleyball game. He's like, I call him New Canaan's Bigfoot. There's sightings of him everywhere. It's like, oh, I saw Dave over there. Oh, no, I saw him here. And he never compromises his quality. Perhaps more important than anything is that Dave never forgets that he is not covering the pros. These are kids. Sometimes reporters forget that. They're playing sports because they love it. Most are probably not playing these sports after high school, so Dave doesn't forget that their time as New Canaan Rams is the pinnacle of most of their athletic careers, and he treats them with that regard and that respect in everything that he writes. Dave was instrumental, and he doesn't know this, but he was instrumental as a partner with Waveny. And anytime Vinny had something on his desk that needed support or needed publicity, Dave never said no. First and foremost, that includes the funding and building of Dunning Field, home of the 3-0, soon to maybe be ranked number 1 New Canaan Rams, packed on Friday night, the crown jewel of high school and youth athletic venues in the state. Dave supported it, he publicized it, he got the support, and it got built. On top of all of that, Dave is also a wonderful sports photographer. I have so many pictures that Dave has taken of my daughter, of my son, how he's able to do what he does at the level he does it. I've never seen it. Dave grew up in Stanford. He went to Stanford Catholic High School, then UConn, where he honed his writing skills. He's been the editor of the New Canaan Advertiser since 1996, when the paper was owned by the Hersom family. He also spent time as the sports editor of the Darien Times. We will forgive him and not give him too hard a time for that. Was not his choice, I'm sure. He's now working for Hearst, Connecticut media since 2018. His coverage has expanded throughout Connecticut. He still focuses on New Canaan, but he's also covering Darien, Norwalk, Bryan McMahon, Wilton, Staples, and sometimes Southington, sometimes Guilford. Wherever they send him, he goes. And they're lucky to have him. He's won numerous awards for sports writing, sports news, and feature photography. He has won awards from the New England Newspaper and Press Association, the Connecticut SPJ. Dave is also the sports information director of the Fairfield County Interschool Athletic Conference, their website, fcac.net, which is an unbelievable tool, an unbelievable asset to us. He preserves the archives of every sport in FCAC history, championship results, all FCAC awards dating back to the inception, scores, schedules. It's all right there. Dave does it all. And lastly, I'm so pleased to announce that Dave will be inducted into the FCAC Hall of Fame, along with New Canaan girls ice hockey coach Rich Bulin, as part of the class of 2023 next June. Yeah, great. I'm even more pleased to call him my sometime colleague, my sometime boss. I am especially proud to call him my friend, and now a New Canaan old-timer, Dave Stewart.
You told me to write it.
There you go. That's true. So I don't know what's more unexpected today is that I'd be honored by the old timers, or there'll be a reference to the way outs at today. I remember writing a story about Lou Marinelli, about one of the many awards he received, was going to be in the Advertiser, and Lou told me, once you've been doing something for a long time, they start giving you things. So I guess I'm here. When I came to New Canaan back in 1996, I wasn't sure what to expect from the town and from the school, and so I went up to the high school. And first person I met was Vin Iovino, who was just great to me. Felt like he was like my old uncle or something, and showed me around, told me the ways of the town and stuff. And then he took me to Lou Marinelli's office, and Lou was there with Bo Hickey. And at one point, so I got introduced to the three of them, and at one point, Lou and Vinny had to leave the room to talk, and so I was stuck in the room with Bo Hickey for about 15, 20 minutes, and after that, I knew everything I needed to know about New Canaan. That was it, and I stayed anyway. So, anyway, New Canaan has been very kind to me over the years, and everybody's been so accepting of me right off the bat. People like Lou, Sue Schwertel, Bill Brown, 250. I could go on and on with it, and it's just been really great to me. I've gotten to see so many great athletes. People like Max Pacioretty, Kirk Casales with the Mariners now, Drew Pine, who had an incredible day yesterday for Notre Dame, Olivia Homp, and the teams have been they've made my job easy. The success, the winning, and the championships have just been great. Watching them play Darien and hopefully beat Darien has been a lot of fun. There's no rivalry like the New Canaan-Darien rivalry in the state either. It's just beyond compare. But the constant winning and success has made my job a lot easier. At the Advertiser, I learned a lot working with John Kovach, Don Hersom, Marty Hersom, and I've carried all that with me to this day, which seems like ages ago that I started. But anyway, the news business has changed a lot over the last 25 years. I'm covering Darien. Sorry about that. Covering Norwalk, covering Wilton too, and there's some good stories there too. But really, New Canaan's where I feel the best. And I got to be honest, when I go to a football game with another town, it's fun to cover a football game, but when I go to a New Canaan game, I feel like I'm home. So I'd like to thank the Old Timers Association, everybody. Terry, it was great what you wrote. I'm glad you
Glad you liked it.
a lot of stuff there. But anyway, thank you very much, and appreciate everything. It's been fun.
Great job.
Thank you.
So I mentioned it before, and Scott touched on it as well. The class of '91. I mean, we were loaded with great athletes. We obviously, we had Scott Harrison, Scott Overbeck, Tom McInerney. Danny Cantrell, Chris Dean, Chris Passero, Rachel Gregg. It goes on and on and on. And we were competitive with each other, and that just pushed us all to just be the best we could be. But when it came to being a true three-sport athlete, perhaps the best of all of us was Lisa Taylor. After a long and successful youth and travel career, Lisa earned varsity letters in soccer, lacrosse, and indoor track, playing under Bill Kapp and Connie Loomis. After attending New Canaan Country School, Lisa entered New Canaan High School as a sophomore and made an immediate impact right away as a valuable reserve on the 1988 state championship team. As a junior, Lisa moved into the starting role and never looked back. She earned all FCIAC and all-state honors her junior and senior seasons for soccer, was named captain of the soccer and lacrosse teams as a senior, utilizing her speed, her agility, along with an innate field vision to make her one of the most dangerous players in the state in both sports. Lisa was the soccer team's leading scorer her junior season, with the highlight being her game-winning goal against Darien, clinched a state playoff berth for the Rams. And after her senior season, she was named to the Connecticut 19U Olympic Developmental Program. In lax, Lisa was also a standout. She was the second highest scorer her junior season and led the team in scoring her senior year. Now, back then, and it's unfathomable, it's hard to imagine, but girls lacrosse, it was, I guess, still in relative infancy. There was no FCIAC championship, there was no postseason awards. Had there been, Lisa would have swept every single one of them. Anything they could have handed out, she would get. She was that good. She was one of the fastest athletes, male or female. I mean, she could have been a track star had she run outdoor track instead of falling in love with lacrosse. She could run a sub 540, and she clocked in at 545 in the indoor 1500. And these times, you have to understand, were better than 80% of the male athletes who participated in those same events at the Staples and Wilton field houses. With all that said, Lisa earned the respect of her teammates, the respect of her coaches, not just with her talent on the field. She was also one of the best teammates you could ever ask for. She had an infectious enthusiasm and energy. She was positive, she was consistent, and she had a love for competition, no matter what the sport, no matter what the season. Closing out her illustrious New Canaan High School career, Lisa's legacy was cemented. Versatility, leadership, talent, and success led to multiple accolades, including, again, the Sikorsky Award and the Bob Sports Award. After graduating from New Canaan High School, Lisa attended Boston College and went on to play varsity soccer and lacrosse for the Eagles. That's right, a two-sport, collegiate Division I athlete. It is hard enough to be a multi-sport athlete in high school these days. She was a two-sport athlete in D1 college. And again, made an immediate impact when she arrived at Chestnut Hill. She earned a starting job with BC as a freshman and quickly became one of the best players in D1 soccer. She completed her 4-year collegiate lacrosse career with 30 goals and 12 assists and led the Eagles to their first ever ECAC tournament appearance as a senior. After graduating with a degree in sociology, Lisa coached youth lacrosse for Wilton while beginning her teaching career. She married former UConn quarterback Peter Lane, son of legendary Staples football coach Paul Lane. Lisa and Peter live locally and have 2 daughters, Taylor and Maddie. And it's no surprise that, once again, the genes are passed down, as her daughter Taylor recently completed her first lax season at Yale, where she was the 3rd leading goal scorer for the Bulldogs. Please help me congratulate and welcome from New Canaan High School class of 1991, Lisa Taylor Lane.
It's all right. Revision, please.
I'd like to start just by thanking Terry. I think half of that was true. You made that sound so amazing, Terry. But I'd like to thank the Old Timers Association. It was great to learn just how much you're doing to create opportunities for high school student athletes. And so thank you for all that you do. I'm truly honored to be a part of all of this. But maybe, I don't know, old timers? Already old timers? My 13-year-old daughter said to me, "Mom, it means you're part of the dinosaur club." And I said, "Thanks, Maddie. I really appreciate that." When Terry asked me to write up a bio, I had so much fun reminiscing. I'm sure many of you recognize this book going back. We had so much fun, the back and forth, Terry and I literally have every single season's program up in my attic if anyone wants to come back and relive those memories. But it brought back so many memories. I came to New Canaan as a sophomore, and I was brand new. I didn't know anyone. Bill Kapp, the best coach in the world, was good enough to allow me to play on the varsity. And I remember that fall season so clearly. It was definitely my most memorable of all. When a couple of players early on in the season went down, they were sick, not COVID, but they had flu. I was going to have to come off the bench and play and step it up. And as you can imagine, I was so incredibly nervous. And do you know who we were defending? Christine Lilly. We were playing against Wilton, and it was such a great game. We kept her to 1 goal. Our so dear and beloved goalie, Trish Kapp, who I was so lucky to play with also at Boston College, she would have kept Lilly scoreless if it weren't for that darn puddle. It had rained, and there was 1 puddle on Connor Field. I don't think there's been a puddle on any New Canaan field in decades. I guess we are getting old. But anyway, Lilly had a breakaway. Trish had her in her sight. She made an amazing dive. Then the ball completely stopped in the puddle, and Lilly was able to score on an amazing goal to win that game, 1-0. But even after that loss to Wilton, we went on and won this, I believe, the school's first state championship. And that fall, with the most amazing role models and legends leading us all the way, Sue Grimes and Laura Flynn and Mary Beth McNichol, and so many others too. It was really the most amazing season. And to follow up on that memorable season, when I played my first collegiate game as a freshman, and in my fall year at Boston College, we played against UConn, and wouldn't you know it, I was switched to defense, and I had to cover none other than Mary Beth McNichol. They were one of the best teams at UConn in the country, and let's just say I had my hands full. She got the best of me, no question. It was the best first play of the game. I still joke with MB whenever I see her. I got a sharp elbow right to the nose, and Trish Kapp was also in the goal for that game as well. And it was so fun just to compete and continue competing with and against all of these fellow Rams. It meant so much to me. And thankfully, my girls love sports too. I haven't put my lacrosse stick down, still playing with them, still coaching a bit. There's nothing more Peter and I enjoy more than being spectators on the sidelines, just as my parents did. My mom, Roberta, is here today. Thanks, Mom, for everything. Sports was such an important part of growing up, and the history of our little sports town is really remarkable, isn't it? I remember just how much the parents were involved in every aspect. Mr. Schweitzer, Mr. Bognon, Mr. Sherman, Mr. Troy, those were my very first soccer coaches from town travel teams years and years ago. But we really had such an amazing youth program, and I love continuing to follow it and hearing how great they are today. I was just so happy and so fortunate to be a part of it. Congratulations to all the honorees today, especially our favorite Lou Marinelli. I apologize, Lou. I'm somewhat of a traitor. I hope you'll forgive me. I married Coach, as you heard, Coach Lane's son. Peter played for his dad at Staples, and whenever Lou definitely had some issues with Coach Lane, even after Coach was retired, he would show up at a New Canaan game, and Lou would say, oh, "Is that Coach Lane? He's bad luck. We've got to get him off the field. He can't be anywhere on this field. Get him out of here." But all kidding aside, there's nobody that Coach respected more than Lou. But thanks again to all for including me. I'm so proud to be part of this family hometown, and high school was just an amazing experience for me. Go Rams.
So I've had the opportunity to introduce our next honoree a couple of times, and I always say it's hard to come up with something new, because what hasn't been said, what hasn't been written about Lou Marinelli. So I think I'll try and maybe give sort of a personal take on it. In 2018, my daughter's being recruited by Springfield College to play softball, and I was pretty excited about it because really the only thing I knew about Springfield was that Lou Marinelli had gone there. So it must be a great place. So we're on a visit there, and I wander off as I usually do, and I go into their basketball arena, which is this beautiful facility. You know, SC was the birthplace of basketball, and they have their Hall of Fame in the concourse. So I start walking around, and I'm looking for Coach's plaque. And I want to see his Hall of Fame plaque. And I can't find it. So I go around again, and I go around again, and I'm like, where the hell is Coach's plaque? And then I realize, I look it up online, he's not in there. Lou Marinelli is not in the Springfield College Hall of Fame. So I call up the SID, and I say, hey, my name's Terry Dinan, my daughter's a recruit, blah, blah. And, how the hell is Lou Marinelli not in the Springfield College Hall of Fame? So he starts saying, well, we have a very set, criteria list, and you have to submit formally a nomination, and there's all this protocol and red tape, blah, blah, blah. So I said, okay, no problem. So I write a letter. 41 seasons, 372 career wins, 353 wins as head coach of the Rams, 6 FCAC championships, 12 state titles, all-time leading coach in Connecticut state history, FCAC Coach of the Year, Connecticut Coach of the Year, National Coach of the Year, Connecticut High School and FCAC Hall of Fame. How's that? So I send it. A couple weeks later, I get a call from that same SID, and he says, hey, thank you so much for submitting that nomination. How the hell is Lou Marinelli not in the Springfield College Hall of Fame? So he's in there now. That was a great night. So a little bit of history here. Before Vinny Iovino hired Coach Marinelli in New Canaan football, it was at the bottom. We had not won a game in 3 seasons. And you think about that. I mean, 3 seasons, winless. It's unbelievable. But that's what it had come to. And this was a very, very proud program. We had won state championships throughout the 60s and into the 70s. And it had come to that. So anyway, Vinny took over as AD. And the first thing he did was he was looking for a new coach. So he had 89 candidates apply. And what Vinny told me he was looking for to rebuild the program was somebody who, in his words, was going to be a Pied Piper. Someone who was going to energize the program, someone who student athletes, parents, people would follow and see as their leader. He wanted somebody with magnetism. And, he wanted somebody who would really care about the kids. One thing Vinny's most proud of is that student athletes they always will come first with Coach Marinelli, and that is the essence of who he is. The next thing Vinny wanted was honesty, and then the last thing on his list, and it was the thing that was the least important to him, was football knowledge. Now, football knowledge, of course, is very important. Winning is very important, but well, that's not why you got the job, but he was just prioritizing. As he does, but there were things that were to him that were more important. He was when he was the athletic director, and he found the perfect candidate in Lou. So when you talk about coach, yes, I mean he is the winningest coach in the state of Connecticut. Yes, he's won every award and been bestowed every honor imaginable. But when you talk about him and when you ask him what the most important thing is, it's about building a family, and that is what Coach built. And you look around now, and you see players, coaches, past, present, and what you really see is a family. And Coach is the patriarch of that family. I've seen it as a student, never a player for him, which is a huge regret. I've seen it as a reporter, and now I get to see it as a parent, and it is remarkable from any perspective. Vinny also pointed out that when you're in his program, when you're in this family, you don't quit. Coach takes great pride in making sure that no one ever walks away from the program. He does not cut anyone. He always finds a place for every single athlete who comes out. He still does that. And if you take a look at all the coaches who have wanted to work with him, you take a look at the people who've walked through those doors, and coach with them, it's amazing. I mean, everybody wants to be part of the program. You have people from all walks of life. You have parents, you have business people, you have former athletes. They all want to be involved. It's very simple. They all want to be involved because they want to be associated with a winner. They see the value of it. When I stopped writing, Coach asked me to, maybe we can, I see, as communications director, maybe you help out with the website, you do the social media. And dream come true. He didn't have to wait to finish the sentence. Yes, I'm honored. All of this extends way beyond football, and I'm sure Coach will talk about it. He helps people who never played for him. As an example, and to kind of bring this full circle, when my daughter graduated last spring, she had a tough choice. She was debating, do I stay in school? Do I get my master's, or do I get a job and start, making some money, pay off my loans? I couldn't really help her with either one of those decisions. She doesn't listen to me anyway. So I wanted her to talk to some folks I trusted would steer her in the right direction. So Coach, he was there for her. So he talked to her, and he called me up afterwards. And he said, "Hey, Terry, I got some good news and I got some bad news. The good news is you raised a great kid. She's very thoughtful. She's very smart. We had a great conversation. The bad news is I think I cost you a couple more years of tuition because I told her don't leave, stay as long as you can, go back to grad school, and that's what she's doing now to get her master's in athletic leadership." So without going too far down the rabbit hole, with all that being said, thank you, Coach. Thank you for everything you've done for this program. Thank you for everything you've done for this school. Thank you for everything you've done for this town. You are part of the fabric of New Canaan itself. Thank you for everything you've done to touch the thousands of lives that you've positively impacted. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the one, the only Lou Marinelli.
Oh, look at this.
I got them tomorrow. Guys over there, see you tomorrow. Walker, did you take a list of everybody that didn't stand? I want to know. Thanks, Terry. That was. I could listen to that all day, and like all these people that thought we were going to have to, but thank you very much. It's very, very... Wait, before I even start, where's Scott Overbeck? Stand up. Who are you here for, me or Scott? So there's Scott. Thank you. Well said. First, I'd like to thank everybody for being here today. I know it's everybody has a crazy schedule, but yet you make time to come here. And let me tell you about the Old Timers. The Old Timers is a great organization that help kids in the high school, go for, whether it be for scholarships or whatever it might be. But I worry about the Old Timers because guys like Lenny, Loren, Lenny, and so many other people, they need former athletes to come back and help the organization. It's, these guys have been doing it, whether it be a golf outing or whether it be to honor our athletes. But, God bless you. God bless you for what you do. You've helped so many other people, and you get no credit for it at all. Maybe you get a little credit from the families that receive it, but God bless you for what you do. And, we need people to come and help with with this organization. It's such a great one as far as remembering the traditions of New Canaan and New Canaan. I never realized it until I got here. The great tradition of New Canaan athletics, not just football, but with all the athletic teams that we have. So if we can get more people involved and help this organization, it would certainly be helpful. I'm truly, Lenny said I had to say that this was the best award I've ever received, right? Didn't you tell me that? Exactly. So this is the best reward I've ever received today, for sure. Seriously, though, I've come here just about to every one because we've had former athletes be honored, and it does feel like family when you're here because there's so many people that have gone through those doors and done so many great things. Think about this for the town of New Canaan. How many towns across the country can say that they have a very successful NHL player, a very successful Major League Baseball player, they're still playing, and you have 2 NFL players? How many small towns can say that? It's really quite amazing, and that's not to mention that that's what we're not trying to make Major League players, but I find that astounding that this small town can produce people like that. Mary Beth Gilbert, the first honoree tonight, or this afternoon. When I first came to New Canaan, she took me under her wing, and she said, watch out for this guy. That one's okay. Be careful of that. I mean, she guided me. She was tremendous. She was absolutely, and she happened to be, my daughters were fortunate enough to have her as their guidance counselor. So, I mean, it was really tremendous. Tom Murphy. Your dad, first of all, he works up at UConn. And when my son went to UConn when he was first hired last year, Tom kind of showed him around and did the same thing that Mary Beth Gilbert did for me. Watch out for this one. This one's good. You're okay. And then, their Syracuse game a few weeks ago, I needed tickets. So, of course, I can't ask my son, call up top, whatever you need. And certainly those people got their tickets, so it was great. Scott Harrison, you cost us the state championship. How much did I try to tell you to go out for football, and I couldn't get you like your brothers? But that's okay. Congratulations on being honored. Dave Stewart. I don't know what it is. If you follow New Canaan football, I've had some clunkers. I mean, some really bad clunkers where I remember, I think St. Joe's had like 50 points at halftime against us. And and somehow Dave, when I talk to him and you read the story, it's almost like, oh my God, I felt better about it, because he makes it all seem good. I lose the state championship to my son, of all people. I just wanted to, just go climb under my bed and never come out again. But yet somehow, if you're going to lose, you might as well lose to your son. But I'm sure the people in New Canaan didn't appreciate it much, I know. But and it was a sound beating too. But somehow, if you go back and you look, no matter how bad it was, Dave always had a way of making it seem all better. And he's been a friend for I can't tell you how many years, and just tremendous. And Lisa, I was so happy for you and your award until I saw your husband. Oh my God. It's true. It was so bad when I first got here. I think like for the first 10 years, we never beat Staples. My brother had a shirt made up, Staples Jinx, that he made me wear, actually. And then when we finally, I think New Canaan beat him one time when I was the coach. And it was at the end of his career, and I think everybody else beat him too that year. But he stuck it out and was such a class act, and really became a mentor to me in a lot of ways. I remember going to the Arrow with him, and him, just me picking his brain, and him being so thoughtful and grateful and gracious in helping me out. One guy cannot do what we've done. I've been so fortunate to have excellent assistant coaches, and some of the finest people I know, guys like Joe DeTola, and many of you remember Joe. Bo Hickey, who may have this gruff exterior, but is one of the most gracious, kindest guys that I've met, and has some great sayings. And if it wasn't going to start to rain, I'd go into some Bo Hickey stories, but some of them are a little rated well, but anyway. I have a guy that's kind of waiting in the wings to be the next head coach as soon as this head coach decides to pack it in, and Chris Silvestri. I don't know how many wins, Terry talked about, but I'm certainly at, Chris Silvestri is responsible for about 300 of them, because either as a player or as a coach, one of the finest people I know. And he's almost, like my son. We've been together so long, but just we're fortunate to have him as a youth coach in town as well. Now he has children coming up, but if you look at guys like Frank Archimone, Julian Karvosky, who we just lost ski last spring, Tony Zagriello, Don Usher, Bob Lynch, guys that when I came, Bill Murphy, that mentored me when I first got here and did a tremendous job. There's Brian Sikorsky over there. Since the day I got the job, that guy has been in touch with me every single year through the best games that we've played and through the worst. He's always, he texted me yesterday about this is the anniversary of the great comeback victory that they had over Darien. They were losing, what was it, 21-0, 20-0? So, he had a tremendous comeback. They won the game. I'll never forget, because I asked Bob Lynch, because everybody wanted to know, Bob, what did you say at halftime? What was it? He says, honestly, I had to go to the bathroom so bad. I was in the bathroom, and by the time I got out, the team was out, so I just walked out, and that was the end of that. I said, that's a true story. That's a true story. Where's my players? Stand up. Stand up. Hey! I don't know how we're going to finish up, but I got to tell you something. I look forward to working with them every day. There's something, I told them this, and you can ask them, I told them this before we went out for our game on Friday night. There's something special. There's something special about this group of kids. And we are so excited to watch them perform and go forward. I don't know where we're gonna end up, but I'll tell you what, it's a special group of guys, and I'm so proud to be your head coach. Thank you very much. So can I mention my wife or no? No, it's too long? Okay. Wednesday night, football with Franny, if you're around. Where is it? Susie Nolan's house. Everyone here, you're all invited to football with Franny. There's plenty of food. I don't know how much football gets done, but I know they drink a lot of wine and a lot of laughs. That's not true. She does teach football to the moms. Rather than keep everybody here all day and listen to stories, because I over the time, there's some really great stories and Maria Tomaselli, so glad that my daughters had the opportunity to, I'm proud of the fact that all three of my children graduated from New Canaan High School, and they're far better off for it today, so I really do appreciate that, and I consider you, people here, family, I really do. I've seen so many acts of kindness in my time here, where I'll tell you one, and I know you're all bored, we gotta get out of here, but I'll tell you one story that nobody knows about. One of our big kids got a scholarship, and the coach actually came to the house to sign. We used to sign in person, and the letters of intent, and offered him a scholarship. And he said, wow, the father said, I'm proud of you. Why don't you leave and let me talk with the coach, the two coaches. So it was me and this coach from a very good school. And so he says, Coach, can I have those scholarship papers we just signed? Tears them up, throws them down. He said, the only thing I ask for you is you never tell my son that I'm paying the bill. I want you to give that scholarship to somebody that needs it, because he doesn't need it. And I've seen so many acts of kindness like that from this town. When we go to camp, or when we go to any kind of a college game or something like that, we take if ever I need anything, I have people calling me to ask me, how can I help? Does anybody need, who needs special equipment? Who needs this? Who needs that? And they help us out. And Mike Covino could tell you, because he was one of the guys that really has come through for us in a quiet way. They don't want anybody to know. And there's so many people like that in New Canaan. I'm just very, very fortunate to be here. And time to stop. No? But I'm very humbled and proud to be part of the community. So thank you very much.
Great. That concludes the honoree portion of this event. We're going to go have some lunch. I ask all of our honorees, get your plaques. We're going to take a picture on the, I guess it's, was that north, south, east, over by the east stairs over there. So we'll do that. I'd also ask the football players that are here, if we can get a group shot with you and Coach, that would be great too. So don't go anywhere. But everybody grab some lunch. Let's try and eat before the rains come. And once again, give one more hand for all of our honorees. Thank you all for coming. And we hope to see you again next year. Thank you.